What the heck is going on, everybody? You know what's cool? Movie posters. And you know who made some pretty cool movie posters back in the day? None other than famous graphic designer Saul Bass. If you don't know who Saul Bass is, go to Google, do a little search, and you'll find these awesome, crazy designs that he used for movie posters back in the day. Very unique style. And not only will you find posters that he made, but you'll see that he inspired other designers to create work in the same style. So like here, this Rocky one, for example. He never made a Rocky movie poster, but somebody did as a tribute to Saul Bass movie posters. Same with the Hunger Games and all that. So we're going to go ahead and go through this process on how to make a Saul Bass inspired movie poster. To begin, and I'm using the Adobe Creative Cloud here, so you'll probably want to use that. If you don't have access, you can use something else, but my students will have access to this. And the first thing that I'm going to do is go into my Adobe fonts. You could go to fonts.adobe.com, and if you have a Creative Cloud membership, you can download or activate these fonts. There's a few of them in here that are going to help us with our project. The first one, if I search here, up here at the top, not for the sample text, but if I click here where it says search all fonts and I search for Double Bass and click on that, there's this pretty cool font in here, and you can click and add whichever one you want. I'm probably going to use the regular or possibly the bold, but they're all nice to have. I can just click up here and add family, and then it's going to activate it automatically and be available in Photoshop for me when I need it. Pretty sweet. There's another one that I want to use, and it is called Poster Cut Nue. I never know how to say that. But this one here, I do like this one also. And so same thing, I'm going to add the family. That's going to be a good typeface to use also. Alright, so those are both added in there. I'm done with my Adobe fonts, so I'm going to close out of that. I'm going to minimize this window, and I'm going to open up my Adobe Photoshop. And in Photoshop, I'm going to go 18 inches wide by 24 inches tall. 72 pixels per inch, because this is just going to be a digital project I'm making. RGB color is fine. And create. All right, once I have that done, then I'm ready to rock and roll. So I want to make a poster. I want to make a dinosaur poster. Jurassic Park ones are done all the time. So I'm going to go with one that's a little less popular, more modern, or recent movie, but a little less popular. The movie 65, starring Adam Driver. I thought that would be kind of fun to play around with. And so I have my canvas right here. If I make a new layer on here and select my rectangle tool, and for the color of this, I'll go up here to fill, and I just want to choose like a blue color. You can choose an exact one if you want, so you could say like 0051CA, for example. And then I'm going to draw this rectangle in here, and it doesn't have to be anything perfect right now. Maybe just about like this for the size. And over here on the right hand side in my appearances, I'm going to change the stroke to be transparent, so it's just the white square with the red line going through it on there. That's the first thing that I want to do. Then I will make another layer, and I will make another rectangle here. And this one will be a smaller rectangle, about this size or so. And then finally I will make one more rectangle, and this last one is going to be black for the color. Oops. I'll draw the rectangle first and then I'll make it black. There we go. and we'll roll with something like that. Now, if I want to, when I'm done, then I'm going to just kind of change the sizing of this a little bit using Control T. This bottom one down here, I might go Control T and make it just a little bit taller there. And if you move these around and kind of get them close to where they need to be anyways, you can use your smart guides to help you out with that. And finally, before I get too much further, then I might go down here to this bottom rectangle and use Control T, and then I'm going to rotate this one slightly because we see that distortion and a little unconformity with a lot of these Saul Bass designs. Rectangle, black rectangle there. I'm going to rotate that one a little bit, maybe even a little bit more of an angle, and make it just a little bit bigger right there. And then this final rectangle, rotate this one this way just a little bit, maybe make this one be just a little bit taller, and move it up about that way until that's, you know, they're kind of close together, they're a little bit off angle, and I think that's gonna look pretty nice as we get to work on this. Alright, next thing I want to do is make a layer above rectangle 1, or above this lower rectangle. Create a new layer right there. And this one, I am going to make a black rectangle on this layer. And I'm going to Control T, and I will place it at an angle about like that. And I want this to actually be inside of that blue rectangle. So the way we can do that is by holding down the Alt key on my keyboard and moving my cursor between my newly created black rectangle and the bottom blue rectangle. See how my cursor changed to that square with the bent arrow? If I hold down Alt and move my cursor there, it looks like that. Then I can left mouse button click, and it fits inside of that shape right there, just magically. And then if I wish, I can move this like so, and I can even change the angle if I need to adjust that later, and it will still stay inside there. If you ever need to move that out of that rectangle, just hold down Alt and click there again, and it moves out. So you can toggle it in or out of that previous layer. Alright, that looks good for the beginning here. Now for the shapes, I want to have a dinosaur here, and we're going to use this site called pixabay.com. If you go to pixabay.com and do a search for T-Rex, there's all sorts of T-Rexes in here. And I've scouted this out a little bit, and I like the way this one looks here, where the T-Rex is like facing the right but looking back over the shoulder the other direction. So if I click on that and I go to download and download again, and it'll put that into your downloads folder. Sometimes it asks you if you're a robot. Answer wisely, and it'll let you download that in there. I'm going to place this dinosaur on a layer above this sloped rectangle right here. So I'll create a new layer here, and then I'll go File and Place Embedded. And I'm going to bring in my dinosaur here from the downloads folder. And I'll bring it right about like so. I kind of want it to be here to the side a little bit. Maybe about like this. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm just kind of using this dinosaur. You can use those images from Pixabay for free for commercial use, but I'm really just going to kind of use this as a guide here because those Saul Bass illustrations all have straight edges and a lot of jagged surfaces. So I want to incorporate that here. So I'm actually going to have this dinosaur layer here, and I'm going to make another layer above it. And then here with my selection tools, I'm going to use my polygon lasso tool. And if I zoom in just a little bit here to give myself a little more room to work with, I'm going to start down here at the bottom. And I'm going to click, and it's going to stay attached. And wherever I want to change directions, then I'm going to click again and do this. I want these shapes here to be like have sharp edges and have a lot of straight lines and all that with this. I think that's going to work good. And if I do this, then I can also really kind of exaggerate this dinosaur's head and make it a little bit bigger even. Might come down here. And make these sharp teeth. I might come down here like this and get the dinosaur's tongue here. Maybe something like that. And then we can go down here. And then maybe kind of enlarging this jaw just a little bit. All right, then we'll get to the tail here. Do something kind of like that. Come over here to the side. So yours doesn't have to be exactly like this or anything. It's kind of up to you. But you get the idea of what's happening with this. So we'll kind of go out here. Maybe exaggerate the foot here. And I'm actually not going to go around the underneath portion of the dinosaur. I'm just going to go down here below. And I'm going to close it up like that. Now, depending on what you're using, it may ask if you want to use generative fill, and we actually don't want to do that on here. What I am going to do is, with this layer, this new layer that I created with nothing else on it, use Shift, Backspace, and I'm going to fill this in with black. Okay, so it's going to be the same shape as basically that dinosaur there. And I don't want to have that dinosaur at all visible behind it. There's little evidence of it there. So right now, I'll just click the eyeball to the left of that dinosaur layer, make that invisible, and that should be pretty good. You know, I might even do this on this same layer. I might go over here and kind of to this side make like the old T-Rex arm, and I'll Shift Backspace and fill that in with black also, and then Control D to deselect, so you kind of get that tiny arm with the claws on there, and they're leaning outside of the frame a little bit. I think that looks good. I'm going to rename that layer as T-Rex, since that's a little different from the others. And then I want to do something here where it shows the T-Rex's legs, but in the movie there's that kind of futuristic explorer or soldier or pilot or whatever. And so I want to put something in there in the shape of a pilot, but it's also kind of looks like it's the space underneath the T-Rex, if you will. So what I'll do now is I'll go back here. I'm done with my T-Rex picture. But I'm going to go back here to Pixabay again, and I did a search for soldier. And I like this picture right here of the soldier. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to download. And click download. And it's downloading it into the downloads folder. So then I'll make a new layer above my T-Rex, and I will go File, Place Embedded. And I'm going to bring in this soldier here. And this is pretty big on here, so I'm going to actually shrink it down right like so. And I am going to also go up to Edit and Transform and Flip Horizontal so that I can switch the direction that this person is facing on here. Alright, I'm going to call this layer soldier. And then I'm actually going to rasterize this layer. Alright, so I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to rasterize layer. I could use a mask for it, but I think it's just going to be easier if I have this be pixels. So I'm going to select around this platform or this ground where the soldier's stepping up from, and I'm going to press delete to delete it. Control D. And then on this soldier here, if I double click over here to go into the layer style and open this up, then I can go here to color overlay. And then if I select this little window and click here and move my cursor over this blue surface, it's going to cover it in blue, and then I'll click OK and then OK. Obviously I can't see it right there, so I'm going to place this soldier and maybe resize it just a little bit. And I'm going to place this soldier, it's still a little bit big, might go a little bit smaller, and then place it right here. Alright, now I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more so I can see the soldier here. And you know, I'm going to do the same kind of thing, but I'm going to do this on the same layer here. Okay, so I might go here and kind of draw around this foot like so. So it's about like that. And then I'm just going to go around the outside just a little bit from this soldier and come back down here to the foot again and maybe go down here and then close it there. And then I'm going to use Shift Backspace and fill that in with black. And because it's got the blue overlay, it's going to put that shape on there like that. And then just a few of these things that have a little more detail to them. I'm just going to kind of box them in a little bit on there. Maybe here where there's this foot, I might go up here. Something like that. And then go down here like that. Fill it in. And then even parts that I might not necessarily want, like maybe this back part of the foot there, I might select that and press delete and get rid of that, so it's kind of This foot's kind of coming out towards us a little bit on here. The gun on here has a little bit of more detail than I would like, so I'll kind of bring this up here. Maybe something kind of like that. And we'll fill that in there. And then maybe back here with this back part of the gun here, we'll square that off a little bit. And that looks pretty good. This part here, I think that looks fine. Maybe if there's some part of the face on here that I don't really want, just kind of sharpen that up there. I think maybe the helmet looks fine. On the backpack on here, I am going to remove this off the back. I can delete that out of there. Maybe this part on the top of the backpack I can remove. And as far as this stuff goes back here, I might even just go and erase that out of there. And then I could even go back here then and just add a little bit more bulk to the backpack. And I think that looks pretty good like that. You know what, I think it's fine like that. So there we have our soldier right there. If I wanted to, I could even, maybe I don't like the foot quite like that, so I might go down here. Alright, there we go. And so now when we have this picture down here of this soldier, and you can kind of still move it around a little bit, a person might have to kind of do a double take at first glance. You know, it just kind of looks like the dinosaur has some kind of oddly shaped legs or something like that, but then we have this soldier that's going on underneath there. That looks pretty good with that. So I do think that's good. You can always then select that soldier and the T-Rex, and if you need to move it a little bit, you certainly can. If I want to extend it out this way a little bit, and even if I wanted to Control T and resize it just a little, that's possible also. So I do like that. I like how that looks. Those Saul Bass posters typically have like two main colors and then maybe an accent color. So our two main colors here are going to be blue and black, and then I think white will be a good accent color for this. Now if I go up to the top and make a new layer and go to my type tool, and if I select my double bass, and I'll start off with the double bass regular size, and if I click up here, let me recreate that because I kind of goofed up. All right, let me try that one more time. And what's happening here is this is trying to put that text inside of that rectangle in there. All right, there we go. Now if I click, now I'm set. Okay, so I have my text, and I'm going to type in Adam Driver, who's in the movie place it right there. And then I can just duplicate that text layer if I want and click OK. And then I'll bring it just below this Atom driver layer. If I click in here, then I can edit this text. Ariana Greenblatt. So we have the different people that are in this movie here. And I might even just kind of Control T and rotate this text right here just a little bit. Even this one here, I might even angle this one up just ever so slightly. Put it about here like that. And then I'm going to duplicate that layer. Bring it down. And this one I'm going to type in Chloe Coleman. And then I'll just move that one down here and bring it about like so. Angle it also in there. And then once those three things are done, I can select all three of those layers if I want and resize it, make it just a little bit smaller. That was one thought of mine. The other idea was, what if I brought it down here and have these be smaller and it's like the names are coming out of the dinosaur's mouth? I thought that would be kind of cool too, but I think I like it up here a little bit better, and spacing wise I think it's just going to look nicer. Alright, so that looks good. And then I need to make another new layer here, and this one's going to be above the above the black rectangle, and I'm going to use my type tool. And in this one I am searching for that poster cut, and I don't think I really wanted italicized in this one. I'm just going to go with the regular. Go here, I'm going to click there, and the text color for this is going to be white. It's an accent color, and the name of the movie was 65, and I just like this letter style. It's that same Saul Bass style, and it just looks cool. And I'm going to kind of rotate that just a little bit in there. And I think that looks pretty neat, really. So there we have it. That's a good example of something you could use for a Saul Bass poster. If I was going to actually print this thing off or something, I would keep it like this. But where I'm going to have this be a digital project, let me go back here to my internet browser one more time. And this time going to unsplash.com and doing a search for old paper. There's this one in here. This looks pretty good. So I can copy that, or I can click on it and then download free. And then if I go back here to Photoshop, I go up to the very top of this and go to File, Place Embedded, and I bring in this old paper. And just extend it out so it's bigger than the canvas. And actually not a bad idea to make it a little bit bigger like that. So that way you can get a little angle in there with your folding of your paper folds if you want. Then you can press return. And then I'll just call, if I look at these layers, this one here I can call old paper. And obviously later I would organize these and probably put them into groups and all that, but you can do that on your own time. And if I go here to my blending styles where it says normal on the old paper layer, I can kind of choose these different blending styles and see which ones work the best. And it's just kind of, some of them work better in different situations than others. And so as I look in here, this linear light, I don't mind too much. And I like it because I can see the texture underneath it, but the main part is I can see the folds here on the light background and the dark background. And it is a little bit strong on there, still stronger than I'd like it to be. So I'm going to go over here to the opacity then, and then I can kind of drop this down just a little bit like so, just to get a little bit of that weathering in there. And then that looks pretty good. And there we have it. That's a Saul Bass inspired poster. So we did 65. You can think of any of your favorite movies or books or video games or TV series or whatever, and just think of something symbolic about it. And how can you bring that into your canvas, and then trace around it using this crude method of tracing, which is straight lines. Find some good Saul Bass styled font for it. Think of what 2 colors you can use to feature prominently with the design, and then something you can use for an access color, like in this case white for the 65 on the outside, and then find a way to put it together. Love to see what you can create. Make your own version, share it with me, and would love, like I said, love to see what you're able to make with this. I appreciate you watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on another tutorial video.